With more than 6,000 small and micro-cap companies listed, if you're looking for the next Apple at the earliest stage, then ChannelChek truly is the orchard. The listed companies support ChannelChek, so it's free for you, the potential investor, to gain access to institutional quality research from FINRA licensed analysts, advanced market data, industry reports, news, and a growing catalog of videos and webcasts. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and register for ChannelChek so you're always up to date on what's going on at the small and microcap data place. Welcome to the C-Suite series presented by ChannelChek and Noble Capital Markets. Noble is an SEC-registered, FINRA-licensed broker-dealer and the source of the equity research available on ChannelChek. Today's presentation features Chairman and CEO Dmitry Kozko, President Stephen Hood, and CFO Jonathan New of Motorsport Games, NASDAQ ticker symbol MSGM. Following an introduction and corporate presentation, they're joined by Noble Senior Research Analyst Michael Kupinski for a Q&A session. Visit channelchek.com or click the link in the description for Noble's research on motorsport games, as well as news and advanced market data. And now, here's Michael, Dmitry, Stephen, and Jonathan.
Thank you. Today I'm pleased to introduce Dmitry Kozko, the CEO, Stephen Hood, the President, and John New, the CFO of Motorsport Games. It's a company that I recently initiated coverage on. First, let's get a flavor of the excitement around this company by showing a short introductory video.
As Michael said, I'm Dmitry Kozko. I'm the company's chairman and CEO. I joined the company about 2 years ago now from our parent, Motorsport Network, where I led the global operations of over 700 people. And with me, as Michael suggested, are Stephen Hood, he's our president, and John New, our CFO. And three of us look forward to sharing the Motorsport game story with you today. So thanks again. Motorsport Game develops and publishes racing games and creates immersive esport experiences around the world's most iconic races and brands. We're formed in 2018 inside our parent company, Motorsport Network, which happens to be the largest digital media company focused on the motorsport and automotive industry. And we sell our games for play on many different devices and platforms and organize as well as host esport events that provide us additional numerous monetization opportunities, leveraging a portfolio of these world-renowned licenses. On January 13 of this year, we started to trade on NASDAQ, and we continue to grow rapidly ever since. Since the IPO, we have expanded our license portfolio by signing a 10-year license with ACO for the 24-hour Le Mans brand and WEC race series. That's for games and esports. We also signed a similar long-term partnership with IndyCar for their official games and esports. And that's bringing our official race series licenses to a 4 count now, covering most of the racing disciplines. We bought out the remaining shares of our NASCAR business to own that entirely. And we bought what we believe is the best technology components for our now a proprietary engine, integrated into our roadmap of products, and announced a major NASCAR game release later this month. So today we're already on our path to make the best stock cars, touring cars, open wheel, endurance, and even karting games and esport events paired with a really world-renowned IP, which helps us promote and bring exposure to the games that we make. As I briefly mentioned, we have exclusive rights to 4 of these iconic racing franchises. That again is for games and esports, usually 7 to 10 years each. These 4 brands alone give us an exposure to nearly 500 million homes worldwide. And to put that in perspective, we sold our NASCAR Heat games previously to about 500,000 players in 2020. Therefore, we have a ton of room to grow just within these captive fan bases, and not to mention a massive opportunity beyond. NASCAR is one of the longest standing and most well-known brands in racing, and NASCAR, just like many of these others, has made their games and esport a strategic priority, which aligns with our vision to win new and younger fans through our partnerships. And NASCAR franchise, I personally believe, has a tremendous opportunity to sell millions of games in all forms. And that's not just our goal, it's also NASCAR's. Additionally, we also have exclusive relationship with 24-Hour Le Mans. This is the crown jewel of racing events. Its history and prestige is really timeless. And the virtual 24-Hour Le Mans that we hosted last year was already the most watched racing esport event of all time. We also have exclusive rights to British Touring Car Championship, or BTCC. BTC is a touring style racing, very popular for many decades in UK. And in the prior decades, BTCC-based video games sold millions of copies to its fan base. And those are the levels that we're confident not only we're able to reach, but exceed with time. And last, for now, we yet have very important yet exclusive partnership with IndyCar, which is regarded as the premier open wheel racing series, especially here in US. And Indy 500 is arguably the biggest race in the world by attendance. So with that, let me introduce our president, Stephen Hood. He'll share a little bit about his background and tell you more about our development team and take you through our platform, product roadmap, and strategy for years to come.
Thank you, Dmitry. My name is Stephen Hood. I am the president of Motorsport Games. I joined back in 2018, returning to racing after a successful period at Codemasters, who were recently acquired by Electronic Arts for $1.2 billion. At Codemasters, I was responsible for building the company's flagship game, the Formula One video game franchise. And as successful as that was, I genuinely believe that the opportunity here is far greater. So our core development team comprises of more than 100 engineers, including a few of the people behind what I consider to be the foundational success at Codemasters, the Formula One games, the Dirt Rally franchise. The art director of Motorsport Games was actually the original art director of the Forza Horizon video game franchise, one of the most beautiful racing games on the market today. Much of our production leadership comes from the Electronic Arts franchise Need for Speed. And this team that we have built is committed to leveraging the opportunity we've provided to deliver a new era of racing video games and entertainment. And this work started with the build out of our proprietary games platform, where we've chosen to leverage very specific technologies like Unreal Engine, which powers games like Fortnite, and we're pairing it with our own games platform with exclusive iconic IP known the world over. Now, these brands that Dmitry has mentioned are using games and esports to attract a whole new audience of fans. We're building these games to reach every player wherever they wish to play. So this means on consoles, on the PC platform, Nintendo Switch, mobile, and more. And we're specifically building to leverage cloud gaming and games as a service ecosystems. Now, the NASCAR video games have sold more than 15 million copies to date. the 5 versions of the NASCAR Heat video game franchise that our company and its predecessor have been involved in have sold in excess of 2.2 million copies to date. Now, it's notable that the back catalogue remains on sale. So even when we launch new games, we still sell older versions of our games at an attractive price point, and we refer to this as our back catalogue. But the future is much, much more exciting. So we're releasing a brand new game, an even more exciting version of the NASCAR video game franchise that's more scalable, more entertaining, and more upbeat later this year in October. The game is built on an entirely new engine, delivering best-in-class AI, all new and improved physics, and world-class visuals. A game that's been in development in secrecy almost for the last 2 years, and it offers the kind of entertainment that was not possible in the prior NASCAR Heat franchise. The platform upon which our new NASCAR game is built will be highly leverageable, and it's the cornerstone of all of our future products for years to come. And we believe it has all the ingredients for a truly breakout title, a formula for repeatable success, and it's a real milestone, one that we're incredibly proud of for all of our teams that have put so much into this product. It's going to be a wonderful occasion in October. Now, putting it all together, this is our product roadmap. So we will release titles in each of the next 3 years, and as we've described, we add mobile and casual experiences to complement and scale these brands. And as we grow the portfolio, we expect our revenues to smooth nicely across these periods as they grow. Over the next few months, we launch NASCAR 21 Ignition on consoles and PC, and we bring NASCAR to the Nintendo Switch platform, which is a first for our business. In 2022, we add a new NASCAR mobile title to the franchise. We launched 2 new Motorsport IP franchises with British touring cars on console and PC, and an early access version on the PC platform of the Le Mans experience that goes multi-format the year after in 2023. So at the end of 23, we drive home that Le Mans opportunity, bringing it to PlayStation and Microsoft Xbox gaming consoles. We also add IndyCar, which when combined with these other franchises and releases, it reaffirms our position in the marketplace with 4 licensed IP going across all points of distribution. So we also have a clear plan towards growing our own IP, which today comprises of R-Factor 2, a well-renowned PC racing simulation, and KartCraft, widely considered the most popular and advanced karting simulator on the market today, a great entry point for all of this licensed IP. Over the next few years, these products will be advanced in terms of accessibility, appeal, and of course, availability. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. So just to briefly hit on a couple of our highlights, we're very well positioned at the center of 3 large and rapidly growing markets, each of which enjoy really strong positive tailwinds. Next, uniquely to us, we have direct access to a highly strategic parent partner, and that provides us high intent audience and deep industry relationship as we scale our business into more racing disciplines. As you saw, we have secured exclusive relationship with iconic IP, including NASCAR, IndyCar, Le Mans, and BTCC, and that provides us additional distinct advantages. And finally, we have a very clear growth strategy to rapidly expand our portfolio of games and make them available across all platforms, including mobile, all while turbocharging our esport business. So taking that all together, we have an exciting opportunity to really become the leading player in racing games and esports, all while generating revenues at scale and attractive profits for the years to come. So with that, I'd like to thank you again. And Michael, let's go to questions.
Let's start with you, Dmitry. You have an amazing team of executives working for you, but before we get to them, I was wondering if maybe we can talk a little bit about your background in technology industries, including video and virtual reality platforms. So let's talk a little bit about your past. What drew you to motorsport games? and how your past experience might be suited for this company.
So I'm truly a geek at heart, Michael. So anything that could cross my path with tech, cars, digital media, video games, this happens to be a perfect crossroads of all those things. So it really checks all my boxes. But professionally, my experience lies, and as I mentioned previously, I came from running global operations at the parent company, where it's a digital media company at heart, very much technology based, which is where my background lies. And prior to that, I built a couple of successful tech-based ventures, a lot of which carried innovation and mostly all in video and automotive space. So best suited to drive this incredible team of really passionate individuals that is combining both a very strong senior gaming experience together with some of those that carry experience in other digital technology sectors that really allow us to challenge and bring out the best out of our gaming group. So I'm, again, fortunate enough to be at the crossroad and leading these folks.
And Stephen, you mentioned a little bit about your background at Codemasters. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about working for a competitor in the space and tell us a little bit about what you did for Codemasters and how that might be applied to motorsports games.
Sure, Michael. Yes, I mean, back in the day for me, they weren't a competitor, but knowing how they operate is, I consider to be a significant advantage because I understand the strengths and weaknesses of another developer in the racing space. I've spent 25 years building this career in the video games market. Has been a considerable amount of time, and I've worked across a number of developers, and probably the key one, as you've mentioned, is Codemasters. I understand their single-minded focus on particular franchises, but it revolves very much around just the software development of video games. And at Motorsport Games, one of the reasons that attracted me to the concept of starting a very ambitious company within the incubation of Motorsport Network was thinking outside the box. If we're really going to turn the tables on the competition and overtake them, you don't do that by just copying what everybody else has done previously. So it's very much a case of understanding what the competition has done well in the past, and then being able to look further afield ahead of the competition about where the industry is going and what the gamer and what the market expects. And that's much easier to do with the team that Dmitry and co have assembled, because our operation comprises of industry veterans who are incredibly hungry to do things differently and better, and people with outside perspectives of different markets and different technologies that really combines to, in my mind, create the kind of environment that is incredibly attractive to developers. And as a business as a whole, the only way that we're going to win is to invent the future, and I firmly believe this team is capable of doing that.
Jonathan, I want to bring you into the conversation here. You have a 20+ years experience as a CFO. Was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your background.
Thank you, Michael, and thanks for having us today. Sure, yeah, my background, accounting, CPA, certified financial planner, over 20 years in tech, a lot of SEC reporting, a lot of M&A, a lot of integration, and a lot of working with rapidly growing tech companies.
And so let's get into the meat of the questions here. The company has a concentration in the motorsport genre. There are pretty large competitors in the space. Why motorsport games and not other game genres?
So, Michael, we really believe the driving genre is underutilized. If you look over the years, driving has not been, or racing has not been a top 3 category, even though it's one of the most favored ones by all gamers. So if you look at those things that bring out positive emotions, the ones that bring families together, the ones that create friendly rivalries, etc., racing is definitely one of those that come to mind first. What we believe happened is it hasn't been enough attention into the racing genre, and this is what the collection of individuals that have gathered around motorsport games strongly believes in. And there's certain things that could be implemented where you look at entire racing genre as a whole, and addressing it from different racing disciplines, but really bringing it all together where it's around the player, around sort of like the virtual driver, just like in a real world, really the sport is around a particular racing individual who could hop around different disciplines, who could go into one car and then another and participate in different events. Why that doesn't exist in racing to the extent that it should, we believe that's necessary. And additionally, racing games historically hasn't been a place to hang out. We want to change that, right? There's other good examples out there of Fortnite, Roblox, and so on, where it's just a new form of socializing online. Racing games hasn't caught up to it, and we believe that we could penetrate that differently. Therefore, the market should be quite larger than it's been previously.
So the launch of NASCAR 21 Ignition is a pivotal moment to the company. Its success would change the revenue cadence for the company as you provide updates and launches for new games in 2022 and 2023. And I understand, pre-orders have been available for some time now, and it's going to be released on October 28th, just before the end of the NASCAR season. So what can you tell us about the game? In your promotional materials, you refer to the game as a simulation. How does this compare to the likes of Formula One racing, for instance?
Well, one thing I will start and pass on to Stephen to add on to it, but this is something that we've been working on for quite some time. And it's the first product that we bring where we're able to take a completely new and fresh approach. So this is not a sequel to our previously released games that we have obviously done year in and year out. This is really demonstrating what we're capable of, right? Demonstrating kind of the foundation that the remaining of our racing game portfolio will build off and continue to leverage. So we're really looking forward to this starting a momentum within the virtual racing community. It is starting a momentum in our users' perception about motorsport games, that we are here from a quality perspective, and we're going to deliver something that's very entertaining and is different from the existing racing experiences out there. So Stephen, to add to it.
I think, as we've mentioned, rebuilding this technology from the ground up means that it's really only associated, because it's from the same company or the same ownership group as the NASCAR Heat video game franchise, but it's entirely unique and different. And we've built with the understanding that this technology is designed to make the delivery of future products that much easier, so that we're not focusing on the technology, we're focusing on positively differentiating the entertainment offering, not so much worrying about the tech, which a lot of developers can get caught up in. We spent 2 years doing that behind the scenes. Now it's time to launch this product. And we know that the video game fan and the NASCAR fan are asking for something very different. They're actually looking across the fence at the Formula One video game franchise. Even though they're NASCAR fans and they're not buying the F1 game franchise, they want a new NASCAR game. They're looking across quite clearly with some jealousy. And therefore, it's a good start point for us, because many of the people that are working on the NASCAR title worked on the Formula One video game franchise and others of similar quality. So we know what it takes. It's not about a technology war or a feature war. It's about delivering on the heartstrings that a race series like NASCAR can pull. It's not just focusing on the cars going around the track, which is the obvious. It's really about the characters and the personality of a sport. And that oftentimes comes down to the sporting heroes, the drivers, the team owners, the crew associated with each of the teams on the track. That's the story that people buy into. We know how to do racing games, but what we're looking to add here as well is some personality. I want the player to feel as though if their contract gets cancelled, they've been betrayed by the team or by a rival, not just beaten to the finish line. So we think of things very differently. And we know that this NASCAR game Ignition in October is going to seriously elevate NASCAR video games back to the forefront of gaming.
And it seems like you mentioned about the launch of the game. It's at the end of the season is probably the best time to launch the game, giving gamers the ability to play the game in the off season. What do you think is the ideal time to release NASCAR games? And do you have any thoughts on the timing of updates to the game and how this might correspond to the NASCAR series?
So, Michael, we have some historical data available to us because we do release these sporting titles on an annual basis. So, we have historically launched our NASCAR game in September, year in and year out. We have tried last year to do in July, and we have some data points around that. And this time we are going closer to the season finale, sort of the excitement that happens as champion is made, so to speak. So for us, ideally, is to use the data points that we have and predict kind of the what the user base would want us to deliver, but at the same time, try to release these games perhaps in the future earlier in the season, allowing folks to go along the season and play as what they're experiencing on broadcasts or attending events and so on. So ideally, would like to bring it closer. There is some hurdles to jump through. A lot of teams don't know their sponsors till the last minute, and it takes a little bit of time to put all that in the game, or the tracks are new and announced last minute and so on. But it is our inspiration to align it closer to the beginning. In the meantime, we're using what we believe could be the second best option, is to do it as the season finale, where the hype is that large, and giving ability through the off season for folks to stay closely attached to the sport that they're passionate about. And then, to your other point of the question, is we will continue to release monthly updates that will bring additional content and hopefully bring a nice, pleasant surprise sometime around the next season start.
How much pushback are you getting related to the game not being available on PS5 or Xbox Series X? And when are you expecting that to be available?
So we're not getting as much pushback as maybe as it might seem, because we did showcase to the users that it is going to be compatible with their Gen 5 consoles. So not just the fact that they'll be able to play on the existing, let's say, very widely distributed generation of consoles like PS4, and Xbox, etc., but with the purchase of this game that's coming out, just in a matter of a couple of months or so, we'll be able to give them an upgrade path, which will allow them to, for free, utilize some of the capabilities that those next gen consoles, like maybe high resolution and other things, and really enhance their experience, those that were able to invest into the kind of latest and the greatest gear. So no pushback, because we seem to be catering to both, and that's our strategy.
Any updates in terms of pre-sales and how this has compared with NASCAR Heat 5 or NASCAR Heat 4?
Well, that's an internal KPI that we constantly track nearly on a daily basis, as more and more available sources where our game could be pre-ordered coming online. The more that we could compare it versus the previous franchises, Heat 4 being one of the most successful ones prior to this one coming out, it is very interesting to see a user path. We are available on pre-order on pretty much all the major platforms, which does show us that we're doing better. But of course, we're still not at the launch date. We still want to do more and deliver more content to the user that showcases the really unique aspects of what we spend our time and resources on. And we hope that that will not just do better than our previous titles, but internally, we would really want to blow those previous titles out of the water, because that's how much effort went into it. It just doesn't compare. So hopefully the community would resonate with that, and the results would follow.
I want to turn to a discussion about downloadable content. You know, certainly it's gaining momentum as a portion of total sales. Can you talk about your how your motorsport games can capitalize on this trend, and how are you planning to develop this into your upcoming game launches?
Absolutely. It is definitely a trend in the gaming industry. It is a trend within the users that the expectation is growing that past their initial purchase of the game, the users and the fans are expecting more, right? What else happens? How can my game live on and be constantly updated and so on? So the way we focus on that is creating larger content resources internally. So that way we could deliver, whether it's more liveries, whether it's more capabilities, whether it's something that the users have been requesting. So for sure, whether DLC format in downloadable content or other means, we do want to continue to cater to the folks that bought our game. And before the next one comes out, we want them to feel like they're constantly getting something additional of value.
And Dmitry, the company is going to be very busy over the course of the next 2 years with plans to launch as many as 4 franchise games in 2023. You have NASCAR, BTCC, Le Mans, and IndyCar. Can you talk about the positioning of these games relative to that which is in the market currently?
Each one of these race series carry their own personality, right? So one thing we definitely want to do, having a portfolio of these, they're not just different racing disciplines. Stock car is different than open wheel and so on, and how it feels on track is, but the atmosphere within that race series is different. So we want to make sure that somebody that hasn't attended a NASCAR event, somebody that hasn't been to a Le Mans, right? It's a massive event, but not everybody gets a chance to physically go there. That we're able to portray what makes that particular race series or event unique, right? And that is what you could expect in 2023 when we have 4 of these franchises in market, launching at a slightly different dates throughout the year to best position them and showcase what are those unique characteristics of that particular race series.
And if we can turn to your esports segment, esports viewership is breaking records with over 26 million monthly viewers in 2021. But to date, your esports segment has been a little bit nascent. Can you provide your thoughts on the opportunity you have in esports, how you plan to develop interest in your games through tournaments, and your overall strategy for the segment?
Sure. So what we've been doing first half of the year of this year is really turning the momentum we experienced last year into something that is repeatable, something that we could create on an annual sequel basis, and turning it more into something that folks could expect from us. So now that we're in the second half of the year, you could see with our recent launch of Le Mans Virtual Series now that we took one of the most successful esport events of all time and arguably the most successful racing esport event last year and turned it into an annual event with a supporting season behind it. So you're working your way up. But what you said is absolutely right. The purpose of these competitions and showcasing those competitions to as wide as audience as possible is to really bring more attention to our gaming products. The Le Mans Virtual is launched on R Factor 2. So with opportunity that we have, allow people to not just watch it, but more get inspired by trying R Factor 2 on their own. And we'll continue to do that with our existing games, like NASCAR, and we run competitive environments and events there, to Indy, to BTCC, Le Mans, and maybe potentially others that we maybe don't have a dedicated game for, but we want to continue to build its audience. So when we do make a game for a particular franchise, like IndyCar is in development, but it doesn't mean we'll wait for the game to come out to start esports. We'll do those events now, build up the audience, and make sure that when the game comes out, we have the best possible product for those fan base.
And along those lines, Dmitry, creating a strong fan base is a key to attracting advertising and sponsorship revenue for esports tournaments. When do you expect to cross the level of fan base to generate significant amount of advertising revenue? And do you think that esports will become a profitable segment for the company, or do you view it as a kind of a lost leader to develop fans for your games?
So the beautiful part is that it has potential more so than just becoming profitable, while it's still serving as a massive marketing tool for our products. So as we continue to put on these competitive environments, we're constantly showcasing our products and we're constantly benefiting from game revenues of those products. But the audience is already there. Last year, we have proven that we could scale this audience. Keep using the same example, Le Mans Virtual attracted more than 14 million live viewers. That is a scale that sponsors such as Rolex, such as Thrustmaster, such as Goodyear, I'm going to not name everybody because somebody will feel like I left them out, but though that caliber of a brand acknowledges the level of exposure that those brands get. And that is why you see them participating with us this year on a multi-year arrangements for the Le Mans Virtual Series. So this is where proven audience success of last year carried over into something that we could create on a constant annual basis and could be celebrated together with those brands already, all while still promoting a product that we could create game revenue for. So for sure, it's on a path to get to profitability, and more so with time as we aggregate more and more of this audience, especially on a compounding basis. When you stack one esport competition on top of another, from viewership perspective, media rights could become an opportunity as well. But that's more of a cherry on top. We're definitely not dependent on that stream.
And John, the company's cash position is quite healthy as of today, and it seems sufficient that you until you can reach cash flow positive. Can you give us your thoughts on your cash position and the ability to work through your period of investments? Maybe talk a little bit about capital allocation and interest in M&A.
As you said, our cash position today is quite robust. We're in the mid $20 million range today, and we have enough cash to take us to profitability in 23 with the release of the new franchises that you mentioned. We are very acquisitive, and we've done successful acquisitions so far, and so there may be the opportunity to do others between now and then, and we would look at some additional financing in the right amounts at the right price if those opportunities presented themselves.
And John, in terms of M&A, can you walk us through your key requisites for acquisitions?
Sure. The first thing is it comes from a team of people that Dmitry leads up. There's people that they're interested in talking to. When they bring it to finance, what we're looking for is a 4 or 5 year comprehensive model so that we can understand what we can bring to the table and what we can produce. A lot of these opportunities are multi-year opportunities. You have to put money in before you see money out. So we're looking to make sure that we're getting an IRR into the 30s over time, and that it's going to be a profitable venture for us.
Thanks, John. And I'm going to turn it over to Dmitry again. The stock price seems to have had a nice bounce, but it's still below the IPO price. Why do you believe the stock has struggled during the year?
I think it's multiple factors, Michael. I think probably the largest one is that it's very low value. So it doesn't take many shares to move the stock one or the other direction. And I think it's very low value because we have a great shareholder base that's not necessarily relinquishing their shares. If anything, some of them are actually upping their position. And that's a fortunate position we find ourselves in, that we're really proud and really enjoy the cap table that we were able to gather during IPO. But of course, as time go on, what is necessary to happen is us proving ourselves in terms of product delivery. We have proven ourselves with our financial results last year that we could turn profitable. We could bring 25+% to EBITDA line on certain quarters when there's product releases. Now it's a matter of, can we deliver the products to the level of quality that we've been talking about, and more so start a momentum for the future franchises as we scale from essentially one franchise to 4 and plus more franchises. So I think it's a combination of low volume, a combination of creating ourselves a proven track record, and we believe that momentum will start around this October, and more people knowing our story. I think we have a very clear growth strategy, and more folks need to know the unique assets, our unique position that we have, and a clear growth strategy of where we're heading.
And I'll quickly add that there's been some transactions in the industry that provide support for the stock's valuation. And we mentioned earlier that Codemasters was acquired for $1.2 billion, but that was 7.5 times revenues. So with that, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me today. If you would like more information on Motorsport Games, stock symbol MSGM, there is an initiation report available to you on channelchek.com.
Thank you for joining us for this C-Suite interview presentation brought to you by ChannelChek. Visit our YouTube channel for more interview content, as well as virtual roadshows and conference presentation replays. New content is added regularly, so subscribe below to stay up to date. Visit channelchek.com or click the link in the description to access equity research, news, and advanced market data on this and the 6,000 other small and microcap companies listed.